How's it going, guys? Cody, we're back again. We're dropping yet another video. It's literally 2:05 Wednesday morning, 24th of June 2020. Taking a few days off. Keep saying I'm going to do videos, never got around to it. Putting it off. Got a new game for the PS4, Red Redemption 2. Been playing that a hell of a lot. So I finally decided I'm going to do some videos at 2:05 in the morning. Random, I know. Loads of stories about paedophiles and a prison officer getting jailed after falling in love with a prisoner. Same old stuff, another silly tart. Quite a lot of paedophile stories actually as well. Unbelievably so. Some very local as well. We also had the Reading terror attack as well. God bless the victims of that cowardly terrorist attack. The terrorist, another former prisoner who served time at Her Majesty's pleasure, who was on MI5's radar and still able to carry out an attack. The Streatham terrorist attacker, I think he's called Sudesh Aman, right? Aman, he was no man, he was a coward. He'd served time in prison. I think he'd been out of prison 12 days, 14 days. He was under surveillance, still able to carry out a terror attack. That was in Streatham High Street. Then you had, in 2017, you had Quram Butt. Quram Butt was on a program called The Jihadi Next Door. Just again, he wasn't on the radar of the security services, but he was on a program on Channel 4 posing with the Islamic State flag, stating on a program called The Jihadi Next Door. There was Abdul Alima and all those other people that was on this documentary. What I'm saying to you in layman's terms, these people are hiding in plain sight. There is definitely a direct correlation between mental health, extremism, terror attacks, things like that. And there seems to be a developing pattern that these people are serving time in prison. The Streatham terrorist attacker last year, he'd served 8 years in prison for terrorism. It wasn't a secret what his mindset was. I've done interviews about that incident. These people, and the one thing I want to make a point of from the start, right? These attackers that say they do it in the name of Islam or the Muslims, they do not represent Muslims in any way, shape or form. Terrorists come in all different colours, creeds, religions, ideologies, ethnicities and everything else. Look at the New Zealand shooter, Christchurch shooter. He was a white New Zealander, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Terrorist attackers come in all different shapes, colours, creeds, religious beliefs, ideologies and everything else, right? So I will not stand for any racial comments, not about that at all, right? The point being that these people, a terrorist is a terrorist. I don't care what your colour is, right? A terrorist is a terrorist. It's as simple as that. Cowardly act. Then you had that guy in the van that drove into all those worshippers. Was it Finsbury Park? The guy with a balding head, and he was a white guy, and he crashed the van, and I think he killed one person. Again, terror attacks are terror attacks. And they're carried out by cowards. But like I've said, there's definitely a developing pattern between like these people that have served time in prison, being on TV programs. I'm a jihadi. And they're still able to carry out terror attacks. Now, this is going to bring me on to Keheri Sadala. Keheri Sadala was the triple murderer down at Forbury Park in Reading. I'm going to read this story, guys. Link in the description below, like you always do. I'm going to do my little bit at the end. So, headline reads, Babyface Killer. First pick of Reading terrorist Keheri Sadala. As it is revealed, triple killer was on MI5's radar. This is the man suspected of killing 3 people in a terror attack in Reading. As it was revealed, he was already on MI5's radar and has a history of violence. Keheri Sadala, 25, originally from Libya, is accused of randomly knifing strangers in a bloodbath at the town's Forbury Gardens at about 6:45 p.m. on Saturday. Just scroll past pictures of him. 1 second. 3 people died following the attack and a further 3 were hospitalised with serious injuries, though 2 have since believed to have been discharged. One of the victims has been named as James Furlong, head of history at the Holt Community School in Wokingham. God bless James Furlong. May you rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers are obviously with your friends and your family at this sad and tragic time. The suspect was detained and arrested at the scene, and Thames Valley Police have said this morning the incident is being investigated as an act of terror. Police said this evening that he has been rearrested under Section 41 of the Terrorism Act 2000. The security guard who saw the suspect being rugby tackled to the ground has described how it looked as if he'd put his hands in a big bucket of red paint. Sidney McDonald, 65, said, "They put the emergency brakes on, jumped out of the car and rugby tackled him to the floor. He was on his stomach and the blood on his hands looked like he'd been dipped his hands in a big bucket of red paint. They put the handcuffs on. He wasn't putting up a fight or anything like that. They picked him up and put him in the van. He just sat there all quiet. He wasn't saying nothing. No further details of a possible motive have been yet released, but mental health is being considered as a major factor," a source told the Press Association. Sadala arrived in the UK in 2012 as a tourist claiming asylum on the grounds that his life was being threatened. Hold on. Oh my God. Hold on. That his life was... Hold on. I just clicked on something by accident. He was at risk of extreme... Hold on. Oh my fucking God. I'm going to have to start again. Now I'm going to continue, guys. I'm going to continue. I'm nearly 7 minutes in. So Sadala arrived in the UK in 2012 as a tourist before claiming asylum on the grounds that his life was being threatened by Islamists in Libya, the Mail reported. A relative told the Mail he was at risk of extremism in Libya because he liked to drink and socialise and didn't really lead a strict religious life at all. He has at one least previous conviction for a minor violent offence. Sky News reported that he is thought to have spent at least 12 months in jail. He was being supervised by the National Probation Service, The Guardian reported, and court reports suggest a number of additional convictions for a man of the same name, age and address. None of the suspect's previous convictions are believed to be terror-related, but security sources have told the BBC he was known to MI5. In August last year, a man of the same name, age and address appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court after allegedly assaulting a judge at Reading Magistrates Court whilst being sentenced for 2 previous convictions, the Press and Journal reported. In April last year, a man of the same name, age, was in prison for 2 months for a common assault on an emergency worker and fined £115 for possession of a blade, the Reading Chronicle reported. Sadala is thought to have been previously charged with affray, assault by beating and possessing an offensive weapon, following an altercation with a Sainsbury's security guard who has accused him of shoplifting. "Can't believe he'd do anything like this," says his cousin. Speaking to the Mail, Sadala's cousin, who lives in Libya, said he converted to Christianity around 3 years ago. He started going to church and had tattoos all over his body, including one of a cross on his arm, they said. "I cannot believe this. I cannot believe he'd do anything like this, or to be involved with anything to do with terrorism." A neighbour of Sadala's, who gave his name only as Adam, told The Sun that Sadala had been in and out of prison. A few months ago, he threw his TV off the balcony and started smashing up his flat, he said. Police were called and he was recalled to prison. He'd only got out about 3 weeks before. Flicking through pictures, guys, just a minute. A foreign national given a jail term of 12 months or more for a violent offence would typically face automatic deportation, but at present the UK would not deport a person to Libya because of the country's ongoing civil war. Yesterday's attack will raise questions about whether Sadala should have been more closely monitored following his release. Neighbour Mohammed Saliman, 29, said he'd seen Sadala on Friday, but he just didn't see him himself. He was just sitting on the stairs with his head against the handrail, he said. He was sitting there when I left, and when I came back 2 or 3 hours later, he was still there. He looked deep in thought. A former acquaintance has also claimed he used to buy cannabis from Sadala after initially being approached by him in an alleyway. Speaking to The Sun, Kieran Vernon, 26, said, I used to meet him 4 times a week to buy cannabis from him down an alley near his flat. Honestly, he seemed like a normal guy. I only met him a few weeks ago, so we haven't chatted that much, but he told me how he'd been in prison and that he was originally from Libya. He loved whiskey too. Night raid. Footage showed a suspect being pinned to the floor and arrested following yesterday's attacks. Obviously, this was from Sunday. The attack was on Saturday. Describing the attacks, Lawrence Wart, 20, a personal trainer from Chippenham, said, "A lot of people sat around drinking with friends when one lone person walked through, suddenly shouted some unaudible words and went around a large group of them trying to stab them. He stabbed 3 of them severely in the neck and under the arms, and then turned and started running to me. We turned and started running. When he realised that he couldn't catch us, he tried to stab another group, sat down. He got one person in the back of the neck, then he realised everyone was starting to run. He ran out of the park. Police later carried out a raid on an apartment block in Basingstoke Road, less than a mile from the scene. Around 20 armed officers and counter-terrorism officers were reportedly seen outside carrying automatic rifles and a disc cutter. More than a dozen neighbours were evacuated during the raid, and witnesses reported hearing a controlled explosion shortly after 1 a.m. Police have confirmed they are not looking for anyone else in connection with the attack. Detective Chief Superintendent Kath Barnes, head of counter-terrorism at PSE, said on Sunday the investigation continues to move at a fast pace. We know the suspect entered into Forbury Gardens in the centre of Reading and attacked a number of members of the public with a knife, leaving 3 people dead and 3 people needing hospital treatment. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the families who will be mourning loved ones after this horrific act. And to all those who have been affected by it, we continue to work with the coroner to formally identify those who have died and to inform and support their relatives. The Prime Minister has this morning held a meeting on the incident with police, security officials and ministers. The case follows that of Hashem Abidi, who was last year extradited to Britain from Libya to face justice for his role in the Manchester Arena bombing carried out by his brother Salam Abidi in 2017. Assam was subsequently convicted on 22 counts of murder, though his sentencing, originally scheduled for April, has been postponed amid the coronavirus pandemic. The last terror attack on British soil was in Streatham, South East London in February, when Sudesh Arman, 20, was killed by police after stabbing 2 people on Streatham High Street. On November the 24th, the UK's terror level was downgraded from severe to substantial, its lowest level since 2014. And that's the story, guys. Sorry that I ended up bloody clicking a link within the article. Right, so, but the thing is, again, so this man came to this country. He wasn't a Muslim, apparently converted to Christianity. Like I said, it's rare that Christians of any colour, race, ethnicity carry out these attacks, but they do happen. And like I've said, mental health seems to be a factor, but like I said, he's been to prison for violence, he's had altercation with security guards, he smashed his TV up, been in and out of prison. When they say that a man of the same name, same age and same address, it was obviously him. Unless he's got a twin brother with the same name. But like I've said, another man that served time in the UK prison system. Now, here in the UK, if someone served offence under the Immigration, I think it's the Immigration Act, I can't remember what section, but there is a section, I think it's 24A or something like that, 27A. Anyway, if you serve over 12 months in prison for a violent offence, you can be deported. But like I've said, we are, and like I said, I've got nothing against anyone from Libya or any country like that at all. But when someone comes into the country claiming asylum, and then 8 years later they carry out a terror attack, stabbing people at random, like I said, he just seems to be stabbing people at will. I've seen the after footage, right? There's a certain gore site that I go on, and this footage of the terror attack after, when people were doing resuscitations and stuff. Obviously, I can't put that on YouTube, nor would I, out of respect for the victims. But yeah, like I said, comes to this country claiming asylum, and then 8 years later carries out a terror attack randomly. He just seems to be stabbing people indiscriminately. So there was no aim of a certain group of people or anything like that. But again, he was on MI5's radar. What does this say for our police and our security services? right? He will have come out of prison. He'd probably be on, if he's under security intelligences, under MI5, and obviously the police and everyone knows, like, well, I don't know if they knew what his mindset was about. Like I said, we don't know these other things, why he's been in prison. We don't have definites as to why he was in prison. There's rumours, there's speculation and everything else. But the fact is he might have been on MAPA, multi-agency public protection arrangements, like I said, police, security services, probation, etc., etc., right? But like I said, he was on MI5's radar. How can you serve time in prison, come out of prison, on the MI5's radar, and able to carry out a terror attack? Same with the Streatham attacker. Sudesh Arman, right? He'd been out of prison 12 to 14 days. He went out to stab 2 people on Streatham High Street before being shot dead. If people go to prison for terrorism, the scary thing is, and I've got to be honest about this, not everyone that's got this mindset of terrorism is convicted of a terrorist offence. They're in prison, they might get worked on, people are in the rear and planting that seed. Right? If you're on the street and you walk past somebody that's trying to plant a seed, I'm from Manchester, you go onto Manchester Piccadilly Gardens, you've got a load of kids selling reef or weed, right? 10 yards, 20 yards, 30, 40 yards away, you've got a preacher, God loves you, and all this, and trying to, all that stuff, right? But if you don't want to take that pamphlet, you don't want to take that info, that seed they're trying to plant, you just walk off. In prison, you can't do that, right? There were a lot of people, like I said, the Streatham terrorist attacker, Sudesh Arman, served 8 years in prison for terrorism offences. He gets out, he's under surveillance, he's in Streatham, in a probation hostel, carries out a terrorist attack, stabbed 2 people up, gets shot dead. More, like I said, guys, prisons are breeding grounds, right? If you go to prison for paedophilia, if you go to prison for rape, if you go to prison for child murder, if you go to prison for terrorism, anything, manuals, component parts, manuals, whatever it might be, right? You should be jailed for life. You should be given a whole life tariff. But the scary thing is, when they're in prison, then you're supposed to have these jihadi jails, right? For me, it was just a PR stunt, right? There's going to be 3 jihadi jails, a jail within a jail within a jail. It's going to house all the hardcore extremists, whether it be Christians, Muslims, whatever, right? And then you've never heard anything since, have we? Right? If you are in prison and someone's of a certain mindset, whether it be a white guy, a black guy, a Muslim guy, Asian guy, whatever you want to say, right? And they've got this ideology in their mind and they're adamant they're going to carry out this attack, they can start to rub off on other people. You might be serving less than them, so they get a chance to work on you. They plant that seed, the seed grows. They're telling you in prison, your country don't care about you. Look at the system won't care about you. Look how you've been treated in the prison system. Look at the food you're eating, locked down. Depending on what prison you're in, what regime you're in, 22, 23 hours a day, sometimes you get a lot of social. You're currently in a pandemic where everything's been loosened apart from prison regimes are still being very strict. They've got prisoners where they want them, haven't they now? But yeah, so you might be sharing a cell with the individual with this mindset. They're planting that seed over and over. And the thing is, you can't get away from it. It's there. If you're locked up with them and you're in the same cell as them 24/7, plant that seed, plant that seed, plant that seed, plant that seed. Bad things start to happen on the wing. Screws start to be a dickhead with you. What happens? That plant flourishes and it grows. You leave prison, you've got time to plan, you've got time to plot, you're being conditioned by the system. You get out of prison and they're like, you know what? Bam. Do you know what? Right, within 2 and a bit weeks, two and a bit weeks, the Streatham attacker, like I said, served 8 years in prison for terrorism offences, right? And this guy, Kahiri Sadala, right? He was out 16 days. Kahiri Sadala carries out a terrorist attack on MI5's radar. Streatham attacker, Sudesh Arman, right, out of prison 12, 14 days, carries out under police surveillance, carries out a terrorist attack, stabs 2 people up on Strathmore Street before being shot dead. Prisons are breeding grounds for extremism, radicalisation. Honestly, it's unbelievable what goes on within prisons. And the longer, right, the thing is, right, people like the government haven't got a clue. They're like, oh, we'll send these people down for a bit longer. You are simply delaying the inevitable. If they're never given the option, right, of being released, i.e. a whole life tariff, they'll die in prison, no parole date, never eligible for parole. It's the American equivalent of life without the possibility of parole, right? They'll die in prison, right? All they can do then is work on other people. This is the thing, though. You can't put them in solitary for the whole time they're in prison because they'll cite the human rights, pulling judicial reviews of the prison, right? So what we've done in the world, not just in the country, but in the world, we've sleepwalked into this politically correct arena where our borders, like I said, I know we're leaving the European Union and Brexit and all that stuff, but the facts are our borders are open to whites from other countries, blacks from other countries, Muslims, and like I said, I'm literally the most multicultural guy you could meet. Right, I've got friends that are Muslim. I speak a little bit of Arabic and Urdu and everything and Punjabi. Right, like I said, I've lived abroad. I used to be based in Germany, so I've mixed with a lot of different people. Right, but our borders literally have been open to anyone and everyone. Right, and like I said, how can you? Right, you've got these migrants in Calais, wherever they might be from, Romania, Spain, wherever, right, Turkey, wherever, and they're coming into this country on the back of lorries. They're getting off the lorries, not all of them, some of them claiming, as soon as they land here on the boats and everything, or the back of lorries, oh, asylum, right, and this is what's going on. And what we've done, we've become tolerable of the intolerable, right, and we've got a third world population, right. We've got, like I said, you've got homeless, you've got old people starving, you've got fucking prison, which is, like I said, the lowest rung on the welfare ladder. You've got people in care homes being mistreated, elderly people being mistreated. The amount of homeless, we're the 5th richest country in the world, economy in the world, well, it was pre-coronavirus, right? So yeah, we've got all these problems. We've become tolerable of the intolerable. And we've made it now so that people, when they get here, whether, like I said, it's not a racial thing in any way, shape or form, absolutely not. But when these people come here and they're claiming asylum, and then it's like, well, 12 months will kick them out. The Rochdale grooming gang, they was jailed, and most of them wasn't deported. Started citing their human rights. This is what we've sleepwalked into, and now we've got to deal with the consequences. And like I said, the biggest gangsters, the biggest criminals are the ones that are sat in fucking Westminster, guys. Like I said, they're on the fiddle, man, massively, and it's the great British public that are having to deal with this. And like I said, if people are fleeing war-torn countries, God bless them. But like I said, how can you differentiate between a general person that's actually fleeing and that's someone that coming here with the most evil of intentions? How can you differentiate one from the other? You can't. Can you? You can't. And like I said, a lot of these people don't carry paperwork when they come over. They know what they're doing. And when they get here, they think it's the land of the home, like the thingy and the free, the home and the brave, or whatever they call it. They just think it's a meal ticket, right? And like I've said, you can't differentiate. Like I would like here, like I know they said they're going to bring this point system here in the UK, but look at Australia. I'd like that here. And like I said, I don't care if a doctor's Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, I don't care. But come here, let's not just open the borders to anybody, because like I said, this person could have been born in London for all we know. Like he wasn't, he was born in Libya, but like I said, it could be anyone, we don't know. That Osborne guy that carried out the terror attack, ploughing into the Muslim, right, cowardly act, right, and I don't condone it, right. This is the thing. Terrorism is terrorism, guys, however you want to dress it up. But prisons are breeding grounds. Like I said, by keeping these terrorists in prison longer, do you think that, there is a de-radicalisation program in prison, right? But no one knows next to nothing about it. It's there. But if you, right, in prison about other courses, right, away from de-radicalisation, Prisoners do courses to tick a box. Say that you've got to go before the parole board, right? If your sentence is that long that it warrants that you've got to go before the parole board, right? And you don't do, and you're in for terrorism, and you don't do the de-radicalisation program, it's going to go against you, isn't it? Right, on your oral here in your paper panel, right? So if you do the course, they don't. There's no way of magically telling, right? Well, you've done the de-radicalisation, you've done it, right? And you can't tell which one who's actually gonna just thinking, right, I'm playing the game here, playing the game. I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna do as many people as I can. This is the thing, you can't differentiate, you can't tell, right? So for me, terrorists, paedophiles, rapists, child murderers should just be lifed off. Whole life terrorists for a lot of them. But like I've said, even then, they're still in prison and they still get to plan, plot, condition other prisoners to prime them to attack. This is the thing. Prison creates far more problems for society than it ultimately solves. I don't know anything, guys. I'm just a former prisoner. I try to articulate as best as I can. I'm tired. It's literally like 2:32 a.m. So I'm going to get some more videos done, guys. Let me know what you think about the video. Does prison work? Does keeping people in prison, is that going to give them a stake in society? Is that going to make them feel that, is that going to eradicate these horrific thoughts that they've got, whether they're white, black, Asian, whatever the case may be? Absolutely not. The longer they're in prison, the more they become conditioned, the more dangerous they become, the more determined they become, and eventually they're going to get out. It's inevitable. They are going to get out at some point. Right, they might serve 10 years over terrorists, 6 years over IPP's gone now. It's been in prison for public protection, is gone. Right, they replaced it pretty much with EDS, extended determinate sentence, right? Now, the fact are, these people might end up serving 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. The fact is, eventually, they're going to get out. And then you've got these jihadi jails, guys. If you keep all these jihadis with all the same ideologies in the brain, right, on the same wing, right, one's going to get out before the other, right? Anjem Chowdhury, the radical preacher Anjem Chowdhury, allegedly groomed and trained Michael Adebowale and Michael Adebolajo, right? They went on to kill Lee Rigby. Adebowale, last time I heard, he was in Franklin. Adebolajo was in Franklin. Last time I heard, Adebowale was in and out. He was from prison to psychiatric hospital to prison. He's been to Broadmoor, went to a prison, I think it was Woodhill, and he went back to Broadmoor, I believe. But like I've said, we've sleptwalked into this situation that we find ourselves in. And like I said, it's not a racial thing in any way, shape or form. Like I said, I've mentioned here about the Christchurch shooter, that Osborne guy, Darren Osborne, whatever it's called, down in London, where he crashed the van into someone. Cowardly attack. And the terrorist attacks are just the cowardly attacks. But like I've said, then you've got the Black Lives Matter situation, which I've seen people like saying, oh, it's a point score thing, it's 1-0, and it's just like, oh my God. It's just like, wow, unbelievable. But prison creates more problems for society than it solves. I've said it 1,000 times. Going to leave it there, guys. 29 minutes in nearly. Like, comment, subscribe. Link in the description below for the store there. Cody out.